If you're an 80s and 90s kid, you probably grew up with Eminem's music. Also known as Slim Shady, the Detroit native is considered to be one of the greatest hip-hop artists of all time, and some even call him God of Rap. After more than 20 years in the music industry, there is no doubt Eminem has become one of the richest rappers of his generation. Today, his net worth is estimated to be around $210 million. But did you know that the beginning of his career wasn't successful? And his first album released in 1996 was actually a big failure. Wondering how Eminem got so rich and how does he spend his millions? From his first job as a dishwasher in a restaurant to one of the richest rappers on earth, here's an exclusive look to how Eminem makes and spends his millions. So stay tuned because you will be surprised by one of the most expensive things he owns. Eminem started showing interest in music at an early age. He first began rapping at the age of 4, and with time he developed his skills during rap battles in the school lunchroom. He loved rap so much that he sharpened his skills by voraciously studying the dictionary. This way he learned new words to add to his punchlines and have an advantage over his opponents during battles. Although he was talented in music, he had a tough time in school. He was extremely bullied and often beaten up by schoolmates. The rapper failed 9th grade 3 times, so he decided to drop out of school. At that moment, not a lot of people believed he would become a superstar. The birth of his daughter Hailey inspired him to try earning a living from rapping. After practicing in his bedroom and singing on the streets, Eminem finally released his first album, Infinite, in 1996. Even though the album sold only 1,000 copies, he was determined to keep pursuing his dream. He kept making music and moved to Los Angeles to compete in the Rap Olympics. In this competition, he earned the 2nd place and his performance caught the attention of Interscope Records, an American record label that worked with Aftermath Entertainment, a label founded by hip-hop producer and rapper Dr. Dre, who was so surprised by Eminem's unique rap style, he wanted to work with the new rapper right away. Eminem signed a contract with Aftermath Entertainment and published the Slim Shady EP, with Dre as executive producer. In the early 2000s, it seemed like you couldn't turn on the television or radio without hearing an Eminem song. Even though his 1996 debut album Infinite barely sold, his sophomore album The Slim Shady LP made him into a star. The album was highly successful and praised by critics. It got certified platinum 4 times in the US alone and got a Grammy Award for the Best Rap Album. Following these events, the rapper founded Shady Records in reference to Slim Shady, his rapper character. The first artist he signed with the company was D12, a group of rappers Eminem knew from Detroit. In May 2000, he released his next album, the Marshall Mathers LP, which was the fastest-selling hip-hop album in history and sold more than 21 million copies. In 2002, Eminem started recording the album The Eminem Show. Around the same time, he was filming 8 Mile, his semi-biography movie. The songs were used for both the soundtrack of the movie and his album. It was such a success that he sold more than 27 million copies. It won him Best Rap Album at the Grammys for the 3rd year in a row and became the first album to sell more than 1 million copies in its 2nd week of sales. From that moment, Eminem started to earn around $10 million per year. At the same time, the rapper's starring role in 8 Mile proved that he can do pretty much anything. The movie cost $41 million to make and brought in $54.5 million during the opening weekend alone, and helped its accompanying album The Eminem Show make history. In total, 8 Mile earned over $240 million, including 11 million albums sold worldwide. The rapper has also appeared in movies and shows such as The Wash, Crank Yankers, Funny People, Entourage, and The Interview. For a while, Eminem was part of the group D12. They released 2 albums with his Shady Records, including hits like Purple Pills and My Band. During the same year, Eminem was introduced to an underground New York rapper named 50 Cent. Eminem had already heard several of 50's mixtapes and was eager to sign him to the label. 50 Cent soon became the first solo artist signed to Shady Records, and 1 year later, 50 Cent released his first album that was sold 14 million times worldwide. It was a huge success for Eminem's label debut. Up until now, the rapper has sold more than 100 million albums worldwide. That's enough to make him the 9th best-selling musical artist of all time, behind Pink Floyd, Rihanna, Led Zeppelin, Madonna, Elton John, Michael Jackson, Elvis, and the Beatles. His album sales are very profitable, but most of his yearly earnings come from touring. touring. Eminem had several tours in the past few years, but none of them can compete with his tour with Rihanna in 2015. The Monster Tour earned over $36 million, according to Shady Records fan site. Both Rihanna and Eminem brought in $12.4 million during their two-night concert at the MetLife Stadium. It's more than Jay-Z and Beyoncé earned during their two-night run at the same facility. Prior to the co-headliner tour with Rihanna, Eminem toured intermittently between years 2000 and 2010 with other artists such as Snoop Dogg, Limp Bizkit, and Jay-Z. The Recovery Tour, Rapture Tour, and 2018's Revival Tour were all solo ventures in Europe. Many of the ultra-rich rappers like Jay-Z and Dr. Dre make most of their money through their business ventures, but Eminem defies the usual. He might not be worth $800 million like his mentor, but considering that most of Slim Shady's wealth is plain and simple from his music and tours, a $210 million fortune is incredible. Now that you know how Eminem made his millions, let's have a look at how he spends them. Eminem has gotten his hands on some of the most amazing cars on the planet. His massive collection is worth a few millions and can make a lot of people jealous. One of the most beautiful cars in his collection is the Aston Martin V8 Vantage, which is nothing but stunning. There aren't many people who can afford the car, as the price tag can run around $150,000, but this work of art is worth every penny. Also in his collection is the Lamborghini Aventador, a car that is way more expensive and extravagant. The price of this car turns around $500,000. Slim also has several Porsches, including 911 Turbo, a few Ferraris like 599 GTO or 430 Scudera, a Hummer H2, and a Ford GT. As someone who grew up poor, we can only imagine what it must have been like for Eminem to buy his first luxury car. When you have such an incredible car collection, you need a place to store them. So like any multi-millionaire, Eminem owns an enormous mansion. Back at the year 2000, when he was still at the beginning of his career, he made his first splash purchase, spending over $1.4 million for a mansion in Michigan, the state where he is from. The house sits on 17,000 square feet and is also known as the Kmart Mansion because its former owner was Charles Conaway, the previous chairman of Kmart who ran into legal issues when his crooked financial dealings led Kmart to bankruptcy. The compound is very secured, with the guardhouse right outside the main entrance, perfect for celebrities. The house includes 6 bedrooms and 9 bathrooms. The outdoor space is just as stunning and includes many amenities like a tennis court, a waterfall pool and spa, an entertainment cabana, and a guest house with its very own game room. At some point, Eminem bought a second house for $4.8 million. If this sounds like a ton of money spent on just 2 houses, it really wasn't that big of a deal for him knowing how much he is earning. But later on, he sold the house for $2 million, losing him $2.8 million. Did you know that Eminem owns one of the rarest comic books in the world? The life of the rich and famous is something that few people will ever truly understand, and the individuals that manage to make a fortune in entertainment get to enjoy extravagant things. Thanks to having millions of dollars at their disposal at all times, many celebrities get to flex their fortune by acquiring rare and amazing things. Eminem is a massive comic book fan. Not only does he have a huge collection of Marvel, DC, and other comics, but he also happens to own one of the rarest and most expensive comic books in history. Let's have a look at the rarest comic book that Eminem owns. Eminem may be in possession of a lot of incredible comics, but Amazing Fantasy number 15 is the book that stands out above all the rest. After all, this book is the one that introduced the world to a little character named Spider-Man. At this point in time, Spider-Man is one of the biggest and most popular fictional characters in history, but there was once a time when he was the new kid on the block that was looking to make waves in the new world of comics. This is why the original book where he appeared for the first time is very valuable. How much do you think this book is worth? Back in 2011, a copy of Amazing Fantasy number 15, nearly in mint condition, was able for $1.1 million at an auction. Yes, a comic book was able to land $1 million. This is how Eminem makes and spends his millions. If you want to know how other rappers and famous people spend their millions, click on the right. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and subscribe to our channel. It will help us a lot. Thank you for watching and see you next time.